The garden of the resurrection, the heavenly world that is to come, where there's no more tears, or at least the tears that are there, God wipes away. Where there's no more death, where there's no more ocean, which in the Bible was like this chaotic force that nobody can control. Even that in the resurrection is imagined as being completely gone. No more chaos. All of that is to come is already for you and is already on its way here, and also not yet. Now the pessimist would hear Jesus say something like, "You will always have the poor among you," and they'd be like, "Yep, that's why we don't help the poor. Like, doesn't matter. They're always going to be poor." But the already but not yet says, there will always be poor among you because the fullness of heaven has not come. And because you are a citizen of heaven, your mission is to take care of the poor among you. Your mission is to get into their life and bring abundance where there is desert, where there is wilderness, where there is chaos. You are bringing order. Heaven is already here. Jesus said it's in your midst. It's already here, but also not yet. And so your mission as a human being, as someone made of earth and appointed to earth to take care of the earth, is to bring about what is already here, but not yet. We here in 1208 are on a little bit of a series for the next few months. We're talking about our mission and our values here at 1208. It's kind of a fresh season to step into what God has been up to through our strategic planning team, and that he's been kind of putting on our hearts over the last almost 15 years as we kind of sort back through everything that we've done over the years, and we kind of say, who is 1208? What are we about? And today, we will be talking about the already but not yet. It's a popular theological concept that doesn't always make its way into the church, and I think it'd be helpful for us to kind of figure out where we are in our time and space in the history of God. So like last week, we were talking about the garden between the gardens. The Bible starts with the Garden of Eden. God gives them plan A. You're going to be fruitful and multiply. The rest of the world does not look like my presence of Eden. The rest of the world does not look fruitful and abundant and full of life. But as you are fruitful and multiply, you will eventually grow so big that you will leave the garden. You will cultivate the entire earth to look like Eden, to look like heaven, to look like my presence, to look like my abundance. God's people are terraformers. If you go to Mars, you have to terraform the planet to look and be livable, breathable. Otherwise, you can't go there. That's kind of the mission of God with earth. You are made of earth. You are appointed to earth. And your job here on earth is to terraform the whole earth to look like heaven on earth, which in the Bible is a picture of a garden. It's Eden. Now, we talked about this last week, but a lot of people think, well, plan A went kind of rough. We partnered with sin, screwed the whole thing up, and so now we're on to plan B. The Bible doesn't have a plan B because the end of the Bible is plan A complete, right? We have a bit of a detour that we have to deal with along the way, but plan A is never thrown out the window. The Bible ends with the whole planet looking like a garden and God's presence coming fully to earth, where heaven and earth meet like a sloppy wet kiss, as songs say, and they give birth to this beautiful new space where heaven and earth are so intertwined with each other. The garden has taken over so much that to call earth heaven is the same as calling heaven earth. That's where we're headed. That's where we started. That's where we're headed. Plan A ends in the Bible with plan A. Okay? But today, we're talking about the already but not yet. Because we don't live in the garden that's to come. We live in between those two gardens. Where if our mission is to invite Jackson into, to find the hope and repair of heaven, if that's our mission, then we need to know the garden that we're inviting them into. Because the world doesn't feel like a garden. Every morning I wake up and I open Facebook and there's some new video about explosions and missiles of huge flames and gas clouds, and it's raining oil and all these different kinds of things. The world does not feel like a garden, at least not across the globe. So what's this whole thing about? What did Jesus change? How did he make a difference? What did he do to handle the detour? And of course, if we go back to the beginning of the Bible, we see that the detour we added is that we partnered with sin. Our job was to co-labor with God to bring about Eden across the planet. Instead, we co-labored with a different little g God to bring about death across the planet. Yahweh is the God of life. Satan is the God of death. And when you're co-laboring with death, things get really messy and painful really quickly. Now, we ourselves die. Now, we ourselves face the wilderness instead of the garden. Now, we ourselves find ourselves partnering with death to bring about his will on the earth, which is something that we call sin. If we partner with God, we bring about life. But if we partner with death, we bring about stealing, killing, and destruction. If we want to partner with God, then our eyes have to be set on what he looks like in Jesus. So Jesus sees that we have a human issue. Humans always partner with sin. That has happened over and over again all throughout history, and no one has ever overcome partnering with sin, with death, with Satan, with the God of death and sin. They always do it. But it's a human problem. Humans are the ones that created that scenario. Humans are the ones that partnered with sin. God never did that. We did that. So if we're ever going to get out of this conundrum, if we're ever going to get out of this curse on humanity of death, if we're ever going to overcome death, then someone first has to overcome sin. They have to live. They have to face sin. They have to choose not to choose sin. And then they have to die sinlessly. And so God comes to do for us what none of us were ever able to do for ourselves. He puts on human skin. He steps into the world, born a human, fully human, empowered with the Holy Spirit so that he can continue to do the same kinds of supernatural works that the prophets of old did throughout the Bible. And then he lives the fully human life, and then Satan oversteps his bounds. Satan oversteps his bounds. Says Satan enters into Judas and puts into play this whole thing where Jesus gets crucified. You can't kill a sinless man. But Satan did. And in the grand cosmos, there are rules. Deeper magic, as C.S. Lewis would call it. Satan overstepped what he was allowed to take by killing a sinless man who had faced off against sin and never partnered with him. Jesus was not worthy of death. And so when Satan overstepped and did that, Satan's right to death was turned over to Jesus. Humans worship Satan. Satan is empowered with the keys of death because of that. Jesus comes and takes back what belongs to God by overthrowing Satan, by tricking him into killing him. This messes up the whole cosmos. The keys of death return to Jesus, and then Jesus now holds the power of death. And he proclaims over the world, there is a day coming, the age that's to come, the resurrection that's to come, where death will be no more. Why? Because I have those keys. Now, Jesus hasn't used them yet. And this is where we find ourselves in the already, but not yet. There are a lot of different errors that people fall into when they're trying to understand their place in the spiritual cosmos. One error on one extreme is this whole we're basically in purgatory. You feel that some days. Like everything is just shot to hell. It's all falling apart. It's all on a trajectory towards stealing, killing, and destroying and death. Everything is just bad. It will always be bad. And anxiety takes us over, and we're unable to process anymore. And all we're waiting is like, this would be the extreme of that theology. One day Jesus will come back and blow up this planet, and we will all just ascend into space to be spiritual, corporeal beings in some cloudy space that no one understands. That is where this theology leads. The world sucks and everything in it, and God is coming back to destroy it. A little book called Left Behind captured the hearts and minds of so many in this direction. The cover of half these books is just the world exploding. You're just like, come on, man. And then the other extreme would be like, victorious, everything is perfect, Jesus has won, and nothing could ever go wrong. And if something's going wrong in your life, if you're depressed, well, what's wrong with you? You got anxiety? Jesus told you not to be, like there's all these like victorious extreme side and then nihilistic side. And there's got to be a balance for us somewhere in there, because we are living in the already but not yet. Jesus has already come and saved us from our sins. And looking forward to the resurrection, where Jesus hits the gavel and says, you are forgiven and my blood covers it. You are already forgiven. You live in the already of heaven breaking through right now. That is your identity. You might be a human being, but the Bible also calls you a son of God. That's the language we just used. I know that sounds masculine. You just say children of God. But sons of God in the Old Testament were immortal, spiritual, heavenly beings. And so when that term is used over you as human beings, as Christians, you already have become the children of God, the sons of God, the immortal beings that are to come and live with God in eternity forever. But not yet. Not yet. Because death still exists.
At 1208 Greenwood, we're more than just a church. We're a family growing together in faith, both in person and online. From our original worship music to biblical teaching, which you can access anywhere, we're creating authentic experiences every day. Your giving helps keep our ministries running and creates impactful content and music that reaches people wherever they are. Join our mission to serve and grow. Support 1208 Greenwood today. The link is in the description.
The garden of the resurrection, the heavenly world that is to come, where there's no more tears, or at least the tears that are there, God wipes away. Where there's no more death, where there's no more ocean, which in the Bible was like this chaotic force that nobody can control. Even that in the resurrection is imagined as being completely gone. No more chaos. All of that is to come is already for you and is already on its way here. And also, not yet. Now, the pessimist would hear Jesus say something like, you will always have the poor among you. And they'd be like, yep, that's why we don't help the poor. Like, it doesn't matter. They're always going to be poor. But the already but not yet says, there will always be poor among you because the fullness of heaven has not come. And because you are a citizen of heaven, your mission is to take care of the poor among you. Your mission is to get into their life and bring abundance where there is desert, where there is wilderness, where there is chaos. You are bringing order. Heaven is already here. Jesus said it's in your midst. It's already here, but also not yet. And so your mission as a human being, as someone made of earth and appointed to earth to take care of the earth, is to bring about what is already here, but not yet. It's never going to be here in fullness until Jesus comes back to do that. But you, in the meantime, are tasked with bringing about what fullness you can from your life. And so God empowers you with talents, with personhood, with spiritual gifts. He whispers to you through his Spirit, through the Spirit of heaven. to continue to infuse this world with the fullness that is coming. And so when you see an orphanage pop up somewhere, when you see a church pop up somewhere, you are seeing heaven breaking through from the already into the not yet. When you decide to commit your life to your friend who is quite poor and constantly finds himself in a difficult situation, you're stepping into the abundance of the already and bringing it in right now into the not yet. When you do good works, Jesus says that shines God's light into the world. People don't always see heaven. The church often downplays good works. We've worked very hard over the last few centuries to come up with theology to make good works unimportant. But Jesus says that's how your light shines. If you want people to see heaven, then do good works. And that brings the fullness of the already right here into the not yet. Now, there's difficulty in this because when you're living in the not yet, there is another kingdom at work. Your job as Christians is to keep pulling heaven into here. But there is another force at work that is always trying to pull death into the same place. And if you want to know what force is, if you want to know what happens when you start working really hard to bring heaven into this place, you put yourself on a radar for that force to also come for you. My professor said this once, and it's always kind of stuck with me. Satan is not that worried about apathetic Christians. He doesn't have to be. If we are not actively trying to bring heaven to earth, then all they have to do is screw with you. But if you are trying to bring heaven to earth, then they have a whole movement that the realm of death wants to stop from happening. And so they throw in the same tactics that they always had, stealing, killing, and destroying, to try to throw off what you are doing. I'm not trying to be conspiratorial or superstitious or think that there's a demon behind every bush. But if you truly want to step into what God is up to, you should expect that there is a target on your back. The way that Revelation explains it is that Satan was up in heaven and he tried to lead a rebellion against God. And so he was kicked out of heaven, but he was sentenced down to the earth. And then Revelation just says, that's good news for heaven, but bad news for earth. And now he's just angry, and he's taking it out on God's children. Satan already knows he's lost. He knows he's already lost the keys of death. He knows that he no longer has power, and he knows that the already is on its way here. The only thing that he can do in the meantime is try to deal with keeping the already as off as he possibly can. He is trying to drive the world toward the fullness of stealing, killing, and destroying, which is why Revelation pictures like the time where Jesus comes back, it's going to be so filled with the realm of death trying to work on us that nobody any longer wants to even hear about heaven. And the pessimist would say, therefore it doesn't matter. It's all just going to hell in a handbasket. But the Jesus-minded individual, those who call them citizens of heaven under the King who is named Jesus, they have to look at Jesus' teachings and say, there is something in my midst. There is something making its way here right now. There is a garden that is coming that has the potential to plant itself right in front of me if I put the seeds out. The world can change, and I am not hopeless or powerless to bring about that change. So Jesus tells a parable. One of my favorite overlooked parables because it's just too simple. It's a parable of a farmer who went out and threw seed on the ground. And then he went to bed and he woke up and the seed had grown. The farmer knew not how. And that's what the kingdom of heaven is like. That simple parable. First off, apparently you don't even have to be like a great Christian to plant seeds, because that farmer sucks. A good farmer doesn't just walk out and throw seeds on the ground, nor does he go to bed and be like, oh, where did these plants come from? I know not how. Bro, sunlight and water is not that complicated. But the seeds of heaven are so strong that when you plant them, regardless of how badly you plant them, they spring up. Heaven begins to grow in the midst of you. So set your eyes on the Jesus who has already won, the Jesus who has already got the keys of death, and the Jesus who's already conquered Satan. He just hasn't finished the job fully yet. If you're saying to yourself, why? The Bible has like two reasons it's weighing out as to when Jesus will come back to finish the fullness of the garden. One, he's wondering, is there still people who will be saved? Because if people will still hear the gospel and get saved, my grace is too big and I'm not coming back. I want more people to experience the garden. That's the character of God. That's the reason he hasn't come back. Remember that when you're trying to put together these strangely vicious, war-hungry images of Jesus coming to destroy everybody. The reason that he has not come back yet is because he wants more to be saved. And all those war-hungry images of Jesus are often misconstrued as to what the Bible says. He's not coming back to slay everyone. His tongue is his sword. He's coming back to declare his judgments over how this world has gone here in the not yet. So one thing, Jesus hasn't come back yet because he sees the possibility for more to get saved. I'm not God. I'm not omniscient. But when I look at the world, or even just like Jackson, how many more people could still get saved and be open to it? I'd say we have a few thousand to million years ahead of us before Jesus comes back. I don't know. I can't see the future. But then on the other side of things, God is also weighing out like his justice. Like if he keeps seeing his children killed, the martyrs, that may eventually overrun his need for justice instead of his need for grace. And so the Bible pictures Jesus bringing about the already, when God has looked at justice and grace and decided where he lands on the mix of those two things. And so we too step into justice and grace. When you bring about justice, where the already is fully just, when you bring about justice into this world, you are bringing about the day of the Lord. The day of the Lord that is to come, where God judges rightly. If you can bring about justice right now, you're bringing about the day of the Lord into the not yet. It becomes a mini day of the Lord. It becomes an example of what is to come for all of us. Things are not okay right now. You don't need to gaslight yourselves. You're living in the not yet. Two kingdoms are at war. And you follow the Lamb, which teaches you a very different way to overcome, rather than the dragon that teaches you everything that you already think is the right way forward. If you want to see the not yet cultivated with heaven, you're going to have to think different. You're going to have to act different. And you're going to have to start imagining what perfection looks like so that you can start planting the perfect seeds in the here and now.
Greenwood.